Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Monmouth Park here on Saturday. It is the 19th of July, 2025. It's Haskell Day for Monmouth, and I'm going to look at the Haskell and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Let's look at the Saturday program from Monmouth races 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So quite a few races to look at right now. Let's get to it. The fifth race from Monmouth is the Matchmaker Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $300,000 purse. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. 7 horses are going to the turf course, the 1,800-meter journey, or mile and eighth on the turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 1-horse Grayish top selection. I'm going to go 1-3-2-5 in the superfecta. 1-3-2-5 super top selection of 1-horse Graisha. This 4-year-old filly by Ishida. Chad Brown trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently on the 13th of June at Aqueduct. A mile and eighth and optional 75 claimer. And he finished fourth by 5 3/4 lengths that day. And he was wide and he weakened out of it. It wasn't his day to win. They were flying up front. That was in a course record time. He just couldn't keep up that day. I think coming here today to this race, it is a slight step up in class from those horses he was facing in New York, I think. But I think he's, if you look at Chad Brown's numbers here at Monmouth, 30 and 12, striking at 31%. When he sends a horse to Monmouth, they're usually going to win. Getting Flavian up as his best turf rider, I think you can see some stronger pace to close up into. I think he's going to be in the best spot to win. He ran 2 back to 4th of May at Aqueduct, mile 16th inner turf course in the Grade 3 Bugay, and he finished 4th by 2 1/4 lengths, and he just sat back early, and he was flat. He never got into it. Off the bench, he probably needed the race. It was his first start since the 12th of October. That came at Keelan, mile and eighth in the QE2 Cup, where he finished 5th by 6.5 lengths. She feels pretty was on her, dominance that day, taking off clear. This horse just wasn't getting into her. And then the Lake Placid, her last victor, winning by a neck from a tracking trip. She had to be used a lot that day, but she got the job done. She won twice. She broke her main in the spring of 24 at Aqueduct quite impressively. Came back to run the behind Sagesta, and they wonder again where she ran horribly. Very good place at Saratoga last summer, and then finally won Lake Placid. So I think she's been on the up and up. Coming here against these quality horses, I think she can win. I think the 3-horse Malady, the stablemate for Samuel Marin and Chad, can win also, and Peter Brandt. This horse won most recently in the Miss Liberty back in Memorial Day weekend over the mile 16th, won by 2.5 lengths. He didn't break so well, but after that, flew home clear late, had a good trip, and, got the job done. The races before that over the winter weren't bad at all. Last fall won the Sands Point, won the Boiling Springs on this turf course. She likes running here, getting an extra half furlong off her previous race. I'm going to give her a shot on the pick 4. But to recap my selection for the 5th now from Monmouth, it is the Matchmaker. Going to go take the 1-horse Graisha. Give kudos to the 3-horse Balade, where we 1-3-2-5 Super, 1-3 in the multi race. The 6th event now from Monmouth. It is the Monmouth Cup. It's a grade 3 event going for a $400,000 purse, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 8 horses are going 1,800 meters or a mile and eighth on the Monmouth main track. Monmouth Cup now, years ago known as the Meadowlands Cup when it was run at the Meadowlands. And a race you always saw some good horses run in. But I'm going to take the 3-horse Classic Catch as a top selection. We're going to go 3-4-7-6 in the superfecta. 3-4-7-6 super, top selection 3-horse Classic Catch. 5-year-old horse by Classic Empire. Top flight trains. I Rider Tees Jr. gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently on the 5th of June at Saratoga. A mile and eighth and optional 100 claimer, where he finished second by a half a length that day. And this horse drifted badly that day, which cost him the win. He was, sat back early. He saw a good pace to close up into, but he drifted in the lane, which cost him. What can you do? Finished second. He just couldn't keep the straight course. I think coming here to these quality horses, getting IRAD up today, I think he could concentrate the horse and get the job done here today. He hasn't run half bad figures. In the figures he has run, they could keep up with these horses. He ran 2 back on the 4th May at Aqueduct, mile and eighth optional 100 claimer, where he finished third by 1 1/4 lengths. Benadu came back to his old winning ways. Absolutely loves running at Aqueduct. Won quite impressively. This horse is just wide. It was gaining a little ground behind him, but lost to a decent horse that day. And then the Excelsior at Aqueduct over the mile and a quarter back in early April. Finishing second by 5 and a quarter lengths behind Phileas Fogg, or Phileas Fogg. He didn't break so well and just never really got into it. His horse hasn't won in quite a few minutes here, but he's been running these terrific places as of recently. I think a return to the winner's circle is very imminent with him. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think the 4-horse Just a Touch for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux win also. He, ran most recently in the Met Mile at Saratoga over the Wilson Mile, where he finished third by 4 1/4 lengths, and he just wasn't catching Raging Torrent, who freak that day. Fierceness ran a terrific race. This horse was at third best, ran he had two great colts that day, not a bad race in the feed. Prior to that, he won at Keeling Monmouth quite impressively in Optional 80, and won on the front end at Fairgrounds quite impressively also. He does his better running style when they let him run. If they let him run today, I don't know if he's going to be stopped. I'm going to give him a shot here at 3 to 5, but he's going to be a very short price. But it's a very exciting feature here for Monmouth, so I think you go a few ways. But to recap my selection for the six now for Monmouth, it's the grade 3 Monmouth Cup. I'm going to take the 3 horse Classic Catch. Give kudos to the 4 horse Just a Touch. 3-4-7-6 Super. 3-4 in the multi race. Heading over to race number 9 now from Monmouth, which is the Wolf Hill Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 9 horses are going about 1,100 meters or about 5 1/2 furlongs on the Monmouth turf course. Gonna take the number 7 horse here. Nothing better as a top selection. 7865 for me in the superfecta. 7865 super. Top selection 7 horse. Nothing better. And the hero going by Munnings. Jorge Duarte trains. Ira Ortiz Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 3rd of May at Aqueduct. 6 furlongs in the elusive Quality Stakes. And he finished 9th by 6.5 lengths that day. And from the rail, he broke on top that day and was with them saying some wicked fractions on the front end. But then he just yielded off the bench. He needed the race at 6.5 to 1. He just weakened out of it. It wasn't the day to win. I think come back to Monmouth where he likes running. He's 11 for 5 on this turf course, of course, and race winner, the distance winner also. I think he could, come back to his winning ways second off the bench. He ran 2 back in the Belmont Turf Sprint at Aqueduct, a bit of a juxtaposition there. 6 furlongs, 5th of October, and he finished second by 1 1/4 lengths that day. And he was with them early on. He heard it in the lane. He couldn't catch Sanabay, who just had the jump on him. But he got up down the race course well. And then the DeHaas at Colonial, 5.5 on the 7th of September, finishing second by a neck that day. He was wide. He closed up well. He just missed, but not a bad race. Like I said, he likes running here at Monmouth. He had a very good place in the Select Stakes over the 5.5 over this trip last August, and won this race last year quite impressively by 3/4 length from a very wide trip. Not a bad race after all is said and done. I do think his form coming into this race last year was a little bit better than this year. He had quite a few starts under his belt. He actually won the Mighty Bow prior to this race last year at Churchill. Like I said, would like to see more starts under his belt this year, but I think coming here at 3 to 1, he's probably fast enough to win. I could use him here as the sirens go by. That's the drawbacks of living in New York City. You always have sirens. But I'm going to use his horse on the ticket. I think the second likeliest winner is going to break from the outside of him. The 8 horse Amen for Joseph Orsino and Edgar Zayas. He was a winner 3 back in the Silks run over the 5 furlongs of Gulfstream back in March, winning by a nose that day. He sat back early. He really closed up well, and he got the job done. A very good strong run after all said and done. Came back to run the Shakertown, where at 25 to 1, he really closed up well late from the back of the pack. He outran his odds. And then Derby Day and the Twin Spires Turf Sprint, he just finished 10th by 9.5 lengths. Lost all chance from a wide post draw, and where he didn't break so well. But another horse coming to this turf course. He's run 6 times here. He has 1 victor on this course. I'll give him a shot here at 9 to 2 on the ticket. But to recount my selection now for the 9th from Monmouth, it is to Wolf Hill. We're going to go take the 7 horse, Nothing Better. Give kudos to the 8 horse Amen. 7-8-6-5 Super. 7-8 in the multi race. Let's head over to race number 10 now from Monmouth, which is the Matchmaker Stakes. It's a Rate 3 event going for a $500,000 purse. Race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 9 horses going 1,700 meters or a mile 16th here in the Matchmaker. I'm going to go with the number 5 horse, Dorth Vader. I'm going to go 5-1-3-8 in the superfecta. 5-1-3-8 super. Top selection of 5 horse Dorth Vader. 5-year-old mare by Gervin here. George Weaver trains. John Velasquez gets the mount. Dorth Vader. Very shocking. A lot of my friends take the piss at me. I'm not a fan at all of the of Star Wars. Can't stand it. Tell you the truth. Do like the Family Guy ones though, which yeah, I should duck right now before one of my friends throws something through the window at me. But yeah, I'm just not a Star Wars fan. But they're also not a Beach Boys fan. But what can you do? But this horse ran most recently in the Ogden Phipps at Saratoga, Monmouth on the 6th of June on a very sloppy track. He won by 4 3/4 lengths and upset of that day. He saw a good pace to close up into. It was a little bit wide, but came home clear. Finally got back to the winning ways. I thought that was a very strong run. Finally winning for her first time since her 3-year-old campaign. Refreshing to hear off some decent runs so far this season. I think she's going to be in a good spot to win again, make it 2 in a row. Two back in the La Trione at Churchill, mile 16, second of May. She finished fourth by 1/4 lengths, and she stalked that day. Had a bit of a bumpy trip early on, but she was gaining some ground. Not a bad race on the feet where the Oaks winner didn't show up. And then option 6-2 at Goldstrom over the 1 turn mile, finishing second by 5 lengths. Grand job, just had the jump on this horse. This horse again didn't break so well and needed the race off the bench. She only started once as a 4-year-old last year. That came in the La Trione, where she wasn't catching Idiomatic, and she just wasn't 100% cranked. Something must have went amiss because you didn't see the horse after that for until her 5-year-old campaign. But her 3-year-old campaign wasn't bad at all. She won the Devona Dale quite impressively at 46-1. Came back to run the Goldstrom Park Oaks, where she had an okay fourth place finish. Had a very wide trip in the Kentucky Oaks in 23, but she had a decent fifth, and then came back to run a very good place, ran pretty mischievous in the Acorn. But she's training well. Come this one back around 2 turns. 4-1. I'll give her a shot on the ticket, and also give a shot to the one horse Candied for Todd and Irad. Won the Alaire du Point Distaff at Pimlico Preakness weekend quite nicely by 3 lengths from tracking trip. The races before that, last season, she had a good place behind Power Squeeze, and the Alabama was running back this one. Came back to run in the Spinster, where she just was very wide, never changing lanes or leads, and then came back to run a decent third, I thought, in the Brews Cup Distaff, where she was in next start, where Raging Steve placed that they was next start winner along with Trapita Anna. Then came back to Double Dog Dare, which again ran decently in. I think coming here, late pick four scenario, I'm going to use her on the ticket. I think she could get a piece of it. But to recount my selection for the 10th now from Monmouth, it is the Molly Pitcher. Going to take the 5 horse Darth Vader. Give kudos to the 1 horse Candied. Worry 5-1-3-8 Super, 5-1 in the multi race. The 11th race now from Monmouth, a race very rich in Jersey history. It is the United Nations Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $600,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. A dozen horses are going 2,200 meters or a mile 3/8 in this year's UN, formerly known as the Caesars International, when it was run at Atlantic City years ago in the 90s. And race, if you just go through the history of this race, just saw so many good horses running it. It's not as good as it was years ago, but this year I think it's a good running. So I think some of these horses are going to go do good things here. I'm going to go with the 4 horse Limited Liability as top selection. We're going to go 4-3-7-1 in the superfecta. 4-3-7-1 Super, top selection of 4 horse Limited Liability. This 6-year-old gelding by Kitten's Joy here. Shug McGahee trains. Frank Dettori comes in to ride this horse. They ran the horse most recently in the Grade 2 Elkhorn at Keeneland, a mile and a half on the 19th of April, where he finished second by a head that day, and he sat back early. Had a bit of a middle move that day down the backstretch when he looked like he was going to get away with it, and then he just got caught by Utah Beach in the lane. He just kind of yielded. Maybe the middle move wasn't the right thing, but he got down the race course well. If he could slow it down from a tracking trip, I think he could win. Refreshing here to Monmouth. I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket. He ran 2 back in the McKnight Stakes at Gulfstream. We're talking about the UN being a race very rich in Jersey history. The McKnight Stakes at Gulfstream were in South Florida, another very rich race in history. A mile and a half, 25th of January, where he finished third by a neck that day, and he just stalked all the way around the race course. He got overtaken by Dashman late, but not overtaken. Everybody's closing up to him, but he fought back. He gamed it out to the wire. Not a bad race in defeat. And then the Red Smith at Aqueduct, a mile 3/8 in late November. He finished second by 2 lengths that day. Interrogation had the jump on him. This horse is wide, but he got around the race course well. He had one victor to his name last year. That came in the 2 mile 16th at Nashville Gold Cup, where he won by 8.5 lengths on the front and all throughout, saying some wicked easy fractions. I thought that was a very good staying trip. Refreshing here back to Monmouth off some decent runs. I'm going to give him a shot to win. I think the 3 horse here restricting for Chad and Flavian Cohen also. He was a winner of the Monmouth Stakes over the mile and 8th here about a month ago. Local prep race for this one, winning by nearly a half a dozen. He won for fun. That was a good run. Prior to that, they ran him in the Old Bourbon, Old Forester Turf Classic at Churchill, mile and 8th on the 3rd of May, where he finished 6th by 1.5 lengths that day, where he just was flat that day. Again, before that, as my cat wants to attack me now, in the Muniz Memorial, he never really was comfortable, never getting into it, but he had a very good place before that in the Seabiscuit handicap, and off the bench in the Knickerbocker before that, another very good place. When they let him run closer to the front end, he does wonders. He's coming to a longer trip for the first time in just over 2 years. I think he could stay well. I'll use him on the ticket. And also watch out for the 7 horse here, Rebel Red. 2 back in the Louisville Stakes, he clipped heels and fell. That was a bit of a scary moment watching it, but he came back well after that. Came back in front of the Chorley Willard over the mile 3/8 after that Churchill, where he won by 2 lengths, stupidly wide, but he cleared the field going away. Another horse, he likes the longer chips. Watch out for him at 9-2 in this very wide open co-feature. But to recount my selection now for the 11th from Monmouth, it is the UN Stakes. The United Nations going to take the 4 horse limited liability. Give kudos to the 3 horse redistricting and the 7 horse Rebel Red, 4371 Super, 437 in the multi race. The feature 12th race now from Monmouth Park. It is the Grade 1 Haskell Stakes, Haskell Invitational, shall I say, for 3-year-olds here going for a purse of $1 million. We have a field of 8 horses going the 1,800-meter journey, or mile 8th on the main track. I'm going to go take the number 6 horse here, Gosger, as top selection. 6248 in the superfecta. 6248 super, top selection 6 horse Gosger. This trio called by Nyquist, Brendan Walsh trains, Luis Saez gets to mount. They ran the horse most recently on the 17th of May at Pimlico, mile 3/16 in the Grade 1 Preakness, where he finished second by a half a length that day. Had a bit of a wide trip, but he stalked. He had to lead out by a fun. Looked like he was going to get away with it, but journalism clipped heels a la Fleet Alex and Lane, fought back and got the job done. A very, good race for journalism. A very good race for Gosger, only in his 4th outing. Race might have taken a little bit out of him. You haven't seen him since then, but he is trending quite impressively at Churchill since the last run. I expect him to really run a good race and be one of the major contenders as the 3-year-old season starts to really heat up this summer. He ran 2 back in the Lexington at Keelan on mile 16, 12th of April, where he won by 2 lengths. Got a dream tracking trip, some strong pace to close up into, and he did just that. Winning by 2 lengths going away. That was a strong run. And then the 1 turn mile Gulfstream in a main special way back in February, winning by 1.5 lengths. A bit of a wide trip, but he circled the field late. A very good run. He's training well. He had a very good race against these quality horses in the Preakness last time out. I'm going to give him a shot here. He's a horse, like I said, I'm very excited to see him run as the season goes on. Don't throw out the Preakness winner, the 2 horse journalism. If there's a horse that I'm a very big fan of, it's him. Like he ran in all 3 Derby, in all the Triple Crown races here, and ran terrific races. And I think he's the kind of horse. Hopefully, they keep him in training for a 4-year-old campaign because he just looks incredible here. I'd love to see him run this horse actually on the turf. But Michael McCarthy trains him. Rispoli gets the mount. He ran most recently in the Belmont at Saratoga, mile and a quarter on the 7th of June, where he finished second by 3 lengths. He sat back early. It was a little bit wide, had to lead, but Sovereignty just had a little bit wider trip, really closed up and got away with it late. But this horse, he ran terrifically. He ran terrifically in the Triple Crown in general. 2 back in the Preakness, probably one of the best Preakness stakes I've seen in many, many years. Mile 3/16 at Pimlico, winning by a half length at the top of the lane. He got interfered with, ran on the rail. Umberto Rispoli, fought back, got through, closed up like an express train, and he caught Gosger. Very, very good race. Great ride by Umberto Rispoli that day. And then the Derby, Sovereignty just had the jump on him. This horse just had had a little bit of a slightly closer trip than Sovereignty, but and had and just couldn't catch him late. But again, he ran his heart out that day. His Southern California races weren't bad at all. It took him a little bit of time to get this horse going, but once he did, he's run these terrific races, training well since the Triple Crown campaign in Southern California. 4 to 5, I know he's a crap price, but he's a very likely winner in my eyes here. If there could be a slight upsetter, it could be the 4s Burnham Square for Brian Hernandez and Union Wilkes. He won the Bluegrass quite impressively, closing up well. Came back to run the Derby, where he finished an okay 6th place finish, where he had to be checked a few times, and then came back to run the Mount Win, where he had a good or 2nd place finish by a half length behind East Avenue. Coming here, it wouldn't surprise me, but I do think the other 2 are more likely winners. But this is going to be an exciting Haskell this year, so buckle up. To recap my selection for the 12th now from Monmouth, it is the Grade 1 $1 million Haskell Stakes. Gonna take the 6 horse Gosger, give kudos to the 2 horse journalism and the 4s Burnham Square. 6248 Super, 624 in the multi race. With that being said, good luck to all. Please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And I mean around the world. And the summer racing is starting to really heat up right now. So buckle up.